constructing parallel lines. The first method is based on what we saw right here. In here, if lines 2 and 3 are each perpendicular to line 4, we see that lines 2 and 3 are parallel to each other. So two lines perpendicular to the same line are parallel to each other. Two lines parallel to the same lines are parallel to each other. So we're going to use that for one method. We'll call that the perpendicular method. And then we'll also have a method called Rhombus Method. The Rhombus Method will rely on the fact that if you construct a rhombus, then opposite sides are parallel to each other. Okay, so let's construct a line using perpendicular method. And I will be going through these each of the days leading up to the test. So if you have questions on what exactly I did here, I'm going to be redoing it. So don't worry too much. Okay, so if I want to construct a parallel line through point A, one method I can use is this perpendicular method. The perpendicular method involves constructing a perpendicular through a point off the line. Okay, and then on that new perpendicular that you create, you will then go back and you'll construct another perpendicular through that same point, but now it's going to be using the methods for constructing perpendicular through a point on the line. So we're going to use both methods of perpendiculars. That's why I'll refer to it as the perpendicular method. So if this is our first step, we want to construct an arc that passes through our segment and cuts it off so that A is on the perpendicular bisector of this new segment cut off here. And so without having to adjust our compass at all, we can place the compass tip on each of those intersections. And when we construct an arc, we'll be able to find the intersection of that, and connecting this back through our original point will give us one perpendicular. Okay, so here's our first perpendicular. We constructed it through a point off the line because A fell off the given line. And now notice I extended this line quite a bit through. Okay, I did that deliberately because the next step will be to construct a perpendicular through a point on the line now. And that line was the line that we just created from step number 1. So this red line that we just created, I now want to construct a perpendicular through point A. Okay, so without changing my compass setting at all would be the easiest thing to do, because if you look, I already have my compass set to this arc right here. So all I have to do is rotate it about on the other side. And so now I've cut this red segment into two pieces where A is the midpoint between this intersection and this intersection. And so if I follow the construction methods for constructing a perpendicular through a point on the line, I'm now going to take my compass tip, place it on one of these intersections. And remember, in this case, I do need to widen my compass. And if I construct an arc from each side, so placing the compass tip on the other side of point A, construct an arc. When I connect that back through my original point A, it will be a line that is perpendicular to my red line. And since, if we look at this, perpendicular to the red line, well, the red line was perpendicular to the purple line, or the pink line. And so when you look at these two lines perpendicular to the same line are parallel to each other. So my green line and my pink line now are parallel to each other. Okay, so that's basically just reviewing the two methods for constructing perpendiculars I talked about right at the beginning of class. Monica, question?
So I got to the part where you did the intersection on top and the line.
Uh-huh.
So then I kind of lost it.
So then if you what you would then want to think about is if you were to remove that whole original line and you just construct a perpendicular through your new line that you just created.
No, I mean, how you get the new line.
Right, that's on.
Oh.
So if you think about removing, like just imagine that original line is removed. So all you have is the perpendicular that you drew in your first step. Now you want to construct another perpendicular through that line. And you want it to pass through that same given point. So now you construct an arc that passes through. Construct an arc on each side of your given point. So I'm just going to use the arc that I already constructed before. And then construct one on the other side. And then from each of those intersections, I'll widen my compass to construct my perpendicular. And it happens to be parallel to that original line. Okay, again, I'll go through these again. The perpendicular method is a little more time consuming. Okay? The rhombus method is much quicker. And so, again, make sure that you can do at least one of them. But I'm going to go through these steps here really quickly, and then I'll give you a chance to work. All right, so if we take the rhombus method now. We take our original line, and let's say the original point that we want to pass a parallel through is point B. And in the rhombus method, what you're going to do with your first step is you're going to place the compass tip on one end point and construct an arc that passes through the given point and the given line segment. Okay, so if I place my compass tip on one end point, and then I adjust my compass so that I can create an arc that passes through point B and my original line. Okay. Right now, I'm able to designate basically 3 of the 4 points or vertices of my rhombus. Okay, so all I need to do is find my 4th vertex. And that 4th vertex can be found basically by bisecting this resulting angle without changing the compass setting. And so the resulting angle winds up being, if I imagined this line, I'm going to try to draw it with a light color. But if I imagine the line drawn from my endpoint through the given point, if I basically bisect this angle that's formed here, I'll create my rhombus. Do you remember when I was talking about bisecting an angle? I said we'll come back and it'll be the same steps for creating a rhombus. And so what we would do for that is, again, assuming that our compass hasn't changed, we place the compass tip on each of these arc side intersections and construct an arc in the interior of our angle. And so can everybody see that, even though I'm kind of looping it over the top of things? So we take this intersection, becomes our 4th vertex. If we connect this point and then these 3 points, we will have created a rhombus. And so all we need to do here to finish off and construct our parallel line is connect that back through the original point, and you'll have your parallel lines. And so the rhombus method winds up being 1 compass setting, 3 marks, and you're done.